I will be timing all key speeches as well as table topics and the evaluations, and I'll give my report at the end of the meeting.
And our next functionary is our word master, Mimi. Can you tell us what you'll be doing, please?
Yes, thank you. Today, our word of the day is sanguine. Hold on, I have some feedback going on here because of the YouTube, sorry. All right, so our word of the day today is sanguine, and I'm going to share it if possible. Did that work? Do y'all see the word sanguine?
I don't.
No.
No.
Okay, well, that did not work.
yet.
I'm going to just read it to you then. I'm going to read this thing if I can find it. All of a sudden, I've lost it. I think the YouTube thing has taken over my computer. And I don't know what sanguine means without reading it.
It means happy or joyful. A sanguine personality was someone who looks on the bright side. Sanguine is a reddish color.
She's got it. Sanguine, confident, optimistic, disposed toward hopefulness, ruddy, florid, bloody, blood red, having blood as the dominant humor. I will post this in the chat box and I will be listening for this word. So please use it. Use it, use it, use it. Thank you.
And our next functionary is our general evaluator, Janet Sellers. Can you tell us what you'll be doing, please?
Hello. Sorry about that. My dog is trying to talk for me. I wanted to mention that if you can hear me, the evaluations are a very important part of our meeting because evaluation means to value. So when you get evaluated at the beginning, it may feel critical, but the reality is it's of extreme value to all of us. And I wanted to put that forward. Today, I will be evaluating the meeting and looking at each functionary for the way they've handled this, as well as how the whole meeting in general is handled. And that's about the size of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our first and only speaker today is Arturo, and his evaluator is Miguel. Miguel, can you tell us what you'll be doing? A little bit about Arturo's speech.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sheila. So Arturo, let me see here. I'm pulling this up. So I don't have all the info in front of me, but today for Arturo's speech, part of what he's going to be doing is the main areas he wants to focus on is making eye contact with the audience, engaging with the audience, and make sure not to stare at his notes during most of his speech. So that's going to be kind of what he's going to be going for. So, and Sheila, are we getting started with the speeches?
Yes.
Excellent. Art. Yeah. Then I will hand this off to Art. Art, take it away. Looking forward to seeing what you have prepared for us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Has anyone ever heard of the Mars 2020 Perseverance mission? Well, I am here to share a little information on it. The Mars 2020 Perseverance mission is part of NASA's Moon to Mars exploration path. And very recently, NASA has landed their newest rover on Mars. And this happened on February 18 of this year. This rover, or six-wheeled robot, is named Perseverance. Perseverance, its main job right now is to look for any previous life that may have existed on Mars, and also to collect samples so scientists could eventually bring them back to Earth. The first month that Perseverance was on Mars, all it did was explore its surrounding, and also it took tons of pictures. And these pictures can be found on NASA's website. There's 2 discoveries that Perseverance found that I find really, really cool. The first one is that the area that where Perseverance landed, the rocks that are in the surrounding area, those rocks were formed by wind and water. And also the same area that Perseverance landed, there used to be a huge lake there that was connected to a river billions of years ago. This is great news because it gives humanity hope and sanguine that someday the possibility of being able to bring a man or a woman to Mars could be a possibility, because it could be a livable place. So far, if you're wondering, there has been no signs of any past life on Mars yet, but it's a little bit early. It's a little bit early though. Kenneth Farley, a geochemist at the California Institute of Technology, at a recent conference has said that everything is going well so far. And we want things to go really well so far. We want things to go really well so we can really increase just advance the process, our research on Mars. What's also really cool is that tucked into Perseverance belly was a small helicopter called Ingenuity. Ingenuity is the first ever helicopter to fly on Mars. And the reason why NASA wanted to send a helicopter to Mars is because, well, number one, it's never been done before. And 2, they wanted to see how well it would behave on Mars territory. NASA, as long as everything goes well, NASA expects, their hope is to send more helicopters over to Mars on future missions so they can overlook the rovers that are on Mars. And so these helicopters can also do their own research. And so they can get into areas that maybe the robots can't get into. So far, Ingenuity, the helicopter, has completed 4 successful flights already. So this is a huge win for humanity and makes humanity very sanguine. So in summary, the Mars 2020 Perseverance mission is part of NASA's Moon to Mars exploration path. And very recently, NASA has landed their newest rover or robot named Perseverance. And this happened on February 18 of this year. Perseverance main goal right now is to look for any previous life and also to collect samples so they can eventually be brought back to Earth. Also, along with this mission, NASA was able to fly their first ever helicopter on Mars, a small little helicopter named Ingenuity. And so far, it has completed 4 successful flights so far. And this makes NASA very sanguine and gives them faith that they will be able to send more helicopters on future missions so they can overlook the rovers that are there. And so these helicopters can collect their own research. They can collect their own research that maybe and get into areas that the rovers can't get into. So my resources are mars.nasa.gov, space.com, and nature.com. And my question for my audience is, what is something that you're very curious to know about Mars, or what's a recent discovery that you recently discovered about Mars that you would like to share? If you could add that to the chat, please, I would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Arturo. Can we, Miss Timer, Jennifer, can we have a minute on the clock, please, so we can send Arturo comments, please?
One minute.
I missed that. It's a minute. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to our table topics for the meeting. Sandra, could you roll off with the table topics subjects? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I really like the themes that we have going for today's meeting through the word of the day and through all of the themes in arts speech with the way they were naming the different NASA robots and projects. And my favorite line is, "You took such a big pause after it gives humanity hope." And I'm like, we need that, whether it's for water on Mars or anything else. So that leads me to my very first table topics question for today. And it is for our friend Chanita. Chanita, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope is children. Every day, about in the morning, I think of the song, "I believe the children are our future." Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them the strength. I won't give you the whole song, but I really believe that. And we need to focus on teaching them not the same old traditions, but they need to learn more about different cultures, and not just their own neighborhoods. We really need to encourage that. Thank you.
Thank you. I was trying to find my mouse. My little cursor disappeared. Now I have music in my head for the rest of the day, which is so important. Michael.
It's hard to not make eye contact.
It's a good way to get called upon. So the name of the rover is Perseverance. Tell me about what perseverance means to you personally.
Perseverance means to me that when you're faced with any situation, whether it's a good situation or it's a bad situation, you keep on keeping on. You keep on working towards what you need to get done. Say, you have a migraine, or people aren't nice to you, or something in life comes up that you don't expect to happen, you keep on persisting with the goals that you have in mind. So perseverance to me is keep on keeping on, regardless of whether you have a good situation or a bad situation headed your way. Thank you.
Thank you. You're stronger than I am. I don't persevere if people are not nice to me. I go in the basement and I hide in a closet if someone's mean. Good on you. I'll be inspired. So next door on my little screen to Michael is Mike. And Mike, I would like to know about what inspires you with Ingenuity, since that is another NASA vehicle that found its way over to Mars.
Jotting things down. I am impressed with some of the ingenuity that we have had to deal with over the last year and a half with this pandemic and with some of the issues that have followed, including doing Zoom meetings for Toastmasters and for other meetings like this. These things didn't come out of nowhere. I like to look at the history of some of these things, not necessarily the computer, but when people talk about how things are made and how they're designed, I'm always impressed by the ingenuity of people that were sanguine enough to dig holes in the ground to find the minerals and the energy that is needed to power these economies. It's incredible. And when I think about, I've always been impressed by the petroleum industry, because a lot of people just think that the petroleum industry just drills holes in the ground and pulls oil out of the ground and we stick it in our cars. And that is part of what they do. But, the computers that we're looking at right now, a good chunk of them are because of petroleum-based products, the plastics. The drugs that we take are encapsulated by petroleum-based products. Practically everything we use has petroleum in it. And I just think that is some serious ingenuity. So I am inspired by the people who are technologically advancing our society. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster, or Table Topics Master.
Thanks, Mike. I think we have time to keep moving on here, so we shall. I don't know who chose sanguine is the word of the day, nor do I know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So I rely on the entire group to either say or one of these. But Mimi, when it comes to being sanguine, what makes you feel sanguine?
Thank you for that question, Madam Table Topics Master. What makes me feel sanguine? I think I have to piggyback off of Miss Chinita Lynn. Children give me hope, because it was who I was as a child, or how I grew up as a child, is what propels me to do what I do every day, because I never want to see another little girl grow up the way I grew up. I never want to see a young lady live the life that I lived as a young person. And so every single day, everything that I do, every event, every podcast, anything, all is stemming from that idea. So children are the future. And so children are just what drives me. I want to make a difference in children's lives. I used to be a math teacher, but I know that was not what I was called to do. I knew I was called to teach, but not mathematics. But I knew that I wanted to teach children how to be adults, but I was 23 at the time and I didn't know what that looked like. But now I know. And so now that I know, I think that gives me hope more than anything. So definitely the future and what the children can do and create with the future or in the future gives me hope and makes me feel sanguine. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. I will keep music in my head for the rest of the day. Does anybody remember when we were talking about doing like lead music in our Toastmasters meetings? I think maybe we need to circle back around to that. I kind of want like a lead up song, like I'm coming up to the plate or something. Mimi and Shanita, I would be playing for you. I'm not going to try singing it because I want people to like me by the end of the meeting. We do have time for a few more table topics, which means I really feel like we should pick on Jennifer. I'm not picking, I'm just opening a conversation that only lasts 1 to 2 minutes. And I'm circling back around to hope. Jennifer, what gives you hope?
Would you kindly repeat a little bit of what you said? As usual, my internet connection destabilized right when you started talking.
Oh my gosh, you are so fortunate to have missed that. It was less than graceful. I told Jennifer I was picking on her, then I apologized. And her question is, what brings her hope?
Okay, thank you.
I think for me, hope is brought in medical research. As many of you know, and those who don't know, this may be a surprise to you, but my father had dementia. And in the last months of his life, he didn't know who I was. We celebrated his 45th wedding anniversary 2 weeks before he passed, and my 40th birthday 10 days before he passed. And on his 45th wedding anniversary, he didn't know who my mom was and didn't know what they were celebrating or why they were celebrating. And on my 40th birthday, we brought him some cake, and all he cared was he was having cake. And he didn't know it was his daughter's birthday. And there have been advances in Alzheimer's research, which is in the classifications of dementia. So what's giving me hope is people that don't have to live through the pain of not knowing your family member, not knowing who you are, the pain of watching a brilliant person to go away into a person that doesn't know anything, let alone sometimes their own name or what period of history they're in. So my hope comes from the medical research that's being done, that we can have a better world. And I know this affects Sandra, that we have a world without Alzheimer's and a world where everybody will remember who everybody is. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Jennifer. And you did a darn fine job getting through something that was really hard for you to say. So extra applause for that. That is not hard to do when you get emotional. We have all the time in the world because we had one speaker. I do believe that absolutely everybody will have an opportunity to enjoy table topics today. Miguel, it is an intensely lovely day outside, I think. I don't know, I can see through the bits and pieces of my blinds. So the bits and pieces I can see appear to be sunshine and maybe green leaves on my tree. What is going to drive you out the door today to enjoy this beautiful day?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. I think we could all enjoy a little bit more sunshine, enjoy a little bit more of this nature that we have, especially because this last Memorial Day weekend, we were quite overcast and it was really cool and just raining the entire time. It's not typically what we experience. Hopefully today we can have a little bit more of that sanguine part of our personality, of ourselves, so that we can go out and just enjoy this, even if it's just during our drive. Now, with that being said, of course, Memorial Day just isn't about getting out and about. It's about remembering and honoring the men and women who have fallen, who have served, who have given the ultimate sacrifice. And in the same breath, it's almost like a punctuation on a lot of the things that have been happening just in the past couple of years. I know 2020 was quite a year for the world as a whole. And from myself, my friends, a lot of people that I know, it seems that 2021 has been a crazy year as well. Maybe not so much so on a global basis, but it seems like there's a lot of personal challenges, personal warfare that's going on in quite a few people's lives. And it seems like it's something that's just carried over and become a little bit more personal. So maybe we can look at this as an example in itself to see how sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's overcast, but when we least expect it, how we can see the light and see beautiful days ahead. The Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Miguel. I keep looking at the clock and I keep reaffirming that we definitely have time for everybody to enjoy table topics today. So if you're hoping people are going over on their table topic, you are out of luck. Ms. Janet Sellers, you have the most anticipating facial expression right now. Like, I can't wait to do table topics right now. And I am obsessed with everybody's animals that make their presence known when we're on a Zoom meeting. So could you tell us a little bit about your helper that was at the beginning of the meeting and perhaps how they can provide all of us in this little Zoom meeting hope or the ability to feel sanguine?
Thank you. That's how you pronounce it, sanguine. The dog that was making noise, it's sort of a miracle dog. Her name is Bindi. She's a cattle dog. Cattle dogs are part dingo, which is Australian, part border collie, part Dalmatian, and part German Shepherd. And all those dogs are put into the breed. They've made it into a breed in order to do their job on a ranch. I foster 4 cattle dogs. They're notoriously active. And some people think they're too rowdy, but if you know how to work with them, they're extraordinary. This particular dog was born and couldn't lift her head, couldn't do very many things, and they thought they might put her down. And I said, wait, I will take her to my chiropractor and we will work on her neurology. She's deaf, and it's a miracle that she can bark because we never thought she would be able to make a sound, or that she would know to make a sound. She helps me with a lot of things. She's my service dog now, and I have another one in training. She helps me upstairs and on inclines because I have a difficulty negotiating those things. She's very sensitive, and she will tap me on my wrist when we're at the store to let me know you're getting tired. She doesn't have to hear. I don't need her to hear. But those are pieces that a service dog can do for a person. And she's my miracle dog because unfortunately I have to get up and put her outside or put her someplace else because she can't hear me ask her to be quiet. But it's kind of cool that she can make a sound. And thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Janet. And yay, Bindi the miracle dog. That's awesome. Art, I know you already gave a speech. Do you think you've got one more teeny weeny itty bitty mini speech in there for you?
Sure.
Yes.
Always.
Fabulous. So would you like to share with us one more thing that fascinates you about space and what NASA's doing out yonder?
Ever since I was in middle school, even elementary, I was always very curious about outer space, the planets, and what these planets are made out of, and are there people or other living creatures living in those planets. I was always just super curious about that, and the sun, and how it takes tons and tons and tons and tons of earth to fill up a sun. I was just always just curious about the just outer space. And actually after high school, I lost my curiosity. But very recently, Elon Musk has been, as we all know, has been talking about how he wants to go to Mars and send people to Mars and my curiosity is coming back a little bit. But I'm just blown away. I'm just wondering, like many people are curious about, what if there is other human life or similar human life out there, and what if they are just as knowledgeable as we are or more advanced? Will we ever team up and advance our medicine or advance our technology that we have here? Will we ever form partnerships with other living creatures that are out there to expand their own technology to further advance our civilization? That's one of the biggest things that I would be very fascinated about. Or would these creatures just destroy us? So I'm just always just curious about that. But hopefully it's not the last one, because I hope that it'd be amazing if we could discover a life that's out there and we could partner up and do incredible things together. Thank you.
Thanks, Art. I'm hoping it's not true, but as Perry Farrell said, we'll make great pets. It would be unfair to have gotten to the entire group and to have skipped our Toastmaster for the day. Madam Toastmaster, do you think we can fit one more in, or are we possibly out of time? Can we fit one more in? I think we can. See, Jennifer's enthusiastically nodding, and I believe that as the official timer of the day, she is an expert. So, Sheila, I'm wrapping back around to ingenuity. What is it in ingenuity? Something that, what inspires you in ingenuity?
Thank you for that question. I think I want to talk about my dog. I'm sorry. After hearing Janet and her dog, because we used to have a cattle dog as well. Then but she got old and we had to put her down. But they are very, very smart dogs. But I did not realize that they would be good service dogs. But that's awesome. But our current dog is a little husky, and she's the one that makes me happy. That's what, she makes me get outside, and I'd love to throw the ball and have her catch it on the first. She's in midair, catches it, but that's what gets me out and brings me joy. So thank you, topics.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to give a brief rundown of what we just heard so that you can direct chat me with your vote for the best table topics of the day. And I can tally those votes while we get through the evaluations portion of the meeting. We started with Michael and perseverance, and he is just a stronger human than I am because he can go through all sorts of things and he just continues to persevere. Mike, ingenuity getting us through the last year, and also in petroleum, which is in everything. Mimi, sanguine children. So children are providing you joy and hope. Chinita also is provided with hope in children and the future, and teaching them just a new way and a new perspective and learning about different cultures. Somebody should sing. Do we have anybody with a singing voice? That'd be super awesome. Jennifer talked about the hope in medical science and did a darn fine job not cracking up, talking about a very emotional subject with all the research that's been going into Alzheimer's and other dementias. Miguel talked about how we should all enjoy going outside and keep things in perspective with not just the pandemic, just, you used the word, I think it was personal warfare, and I thought that was very interesting, and I jotted it down, and I'll probably try using it sometime this week. Janet told us about Bendy the Miracle Dog, which is super cool. And Art told us about space and how he was really curious about it, but then he lost his curiosity, but then he got it back. And will we meet some other living entities and how will we fare with them? And then Sheila told us about her current husky who brings her joy. And I think that's what all of our fur babies do. I want to go home. Pet my fur baby. Please submit your votes and help welcome back your Toastmaster of the day, Sheila.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Now we move on to the general evaluation portion of our meeting, and I will turn this over to Janet Sellers. Thank you.
Thank you. The evaluation portion of the meeting is now, and I would like to call on our different functionaries as well as give an overview of the meeting afterwards. The roles as listed by our Toastmaster begin with our awe counter, and that is Chinita Lynn, your friend. Chinita, tell the group how they did with their filler words.
Yes, as our counter, I made a handy dandy chart. I checked on everyone's ahs, and so's. Jennifer used one time and so one time, but I'm wondering if you used it correctly though. I think there was some correct uses of so today. Michael Everson, you use one time, so twice.
All right.
You said, so I am inspired. So I'm like, was that the correct usage of so? But Sheila, so you use so one time. Sandra, in and also so. Arturo, I loved how you used so far. So far. That was good. That was really good. But you did use so 3 times. Meaning you used so one time. And I was the only one to use
I think it was the correct use of the word though, probably.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You know, I am remiss, and I apologize to Arturo and to Miguel, because the first thing I should have done is call on Miguel to evaluate Arturo's speech. And I have now realized my error, and I call on you, Miguel, to please give us your evaluation of Arturo's speech. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Miguel Mendez.
Thank you so much, Madam Evaluator. Just remember, there are no mistakes. There's just alterations in our normal plans. So all we have to do is get back to what we're doing and find a way to make it to the end, find a way to make it to what we're trying to do in the first place. But Arturo, thank you so much for the speech that you prepared, for the way that you delivered it. I love the way that you opened up. You had your background selected and everything. So really put that little bit more of effort. Like, how can I give it just this little bit more into the speech that I'm doing? You jumped right in. You didn't hesitate. You didn't need a runway to get into what you were doing. And that's what I really enjoyed about the way that you started. It's so I could tell that it was a topic that you had interest in, and something that at some point in your life you had been passionate about. You mentioned that it's something that you were really passionate about, something you were really curious about, but maybe you've allowed that to kind of fade a little bit over time. And that's something I understand, that as we grow up, as we do that, that's something that does happen. Regarding some of the things you were wanting to keep an eye on, for example, eye contact, I think you did a very excellent job. And you did still use your notes, which is fine. Everybody's going to use notes. It's not that big of a thing. Another thing I did notice is when your phone rang, you silenced it. You didn't pay any mind. I think those things are really powerful. Those things are really important. When distraction happens, when things that you're not prepared for happens, you just put a stop to it and you keep going. It's a very important trait for a speaker to have. In addition, again, like with your eye contact, you did well using the camera, using the tools that you had. You looked at your notes when you needed to. That was fine. And another thing that you did, which I think is completely fine, that adds to what you were doing, is when you were thinking, when you were visualizing something, you could see it in your face, you could see it in your eyes, and maybe didn't have the eye contact, but you were looking out. You were looking out into space, if you will, to really capture that. And I think that brings a new element to the speech that you were trying to do. One of the things I did notice is there were a few things that you had a tendency to repeat. There was one in particular When things were going well, they wanted things to go well, but luckily things were going well. And it's something to that kind of fact. Sometimes you just get stuck in thought loops. It's not that big of a deal, but I did want to point that out. And you did happen to touch on ingenuity twice, kind of going back and forth on it. So again, that's just fine. My recommendation is, I don't know if you're a reader, if you're a writer, if you like listening to learn, there's really important points you want to go over, write them down beforehand, say them and record them and listen to them, whatever's going to be most effective. But overall, fantastic job. Thank you for speaking for us today, and I'll hand this back to our general evaluator.
Thank you, Miguel, very much for your evaluation. Nice and thorough. Now I will continue with the functionaries. We have our grammarian next up, and after he speaks, you can say anything any way you want. Let's welcome Michael Everson.
That ain't the way it works.
Hey, Janet, I have to leave in a couple minutes for a meeting. Can I quickly give my report so I can head out for my meeting?
Absolutely.
Sorry, Mike. Arturo, for your speech, it was 6 minutes and 32 seconds. The next set is table topics. Chanita, you were a minute. Michael Aragon, you were 46 seconds. Mike, you were 2 minutes. Mimi, a minute and 18 seconds. Myself was a minute and 42 seconds. Miguel was a minute and 38 seconds. Janet, you were a minute and 46 seconds. Arturo was 2 minutes and 2 seconds. And Sheila was 36 seconds. And Miguel's evaluation was 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
Thank you so much,
And
Jennifer.
Thank you, Mike, for letting me do that. I will see you all next week. Mimi, if you can sign me up, or whoever's in charge of roles next week, for something minor like counter, word of the day, something like that, that would be excellent, and just let me know. Have a good day, everyone.
You too. Have a splendid week. Well, now we know who's going next, and that will be Mike Everson as grammarian. Please go ahead, Mike, with your report.
All righty. Everybody did a really good job today on their grammar. There's a couple things I'll point out. Art, when you were doing your speech, you did a great speech. You end words before they end. So you say surrounding and kinda and have to and things like that. And everybody does that, but I get to point it out today. So it's surrounding, it's kind of, have to, and things like that. But you did a good job on your speech, and you used the word of the day in your speech. It means you have to alter your speech, because most of us prepare our speeches and you don't know what the word of the day is going to be until you get here. See, I just said gonna instead of going to. So we all do it, but you did use the word of the day and you used it well. In the table topics section, Miguel, you said really quite a punctuation of the year we had. And I like that. I thought that was a good use of the English language. I thought it was good. I like the word punctuation for the year. Janet, after you made your minor error of not letting the speech evaluator do his speech, you said, I am remiss, which is a good way to say what you said. So I like the good use of the English language. That is my evaluation.
Thank you, Michael Everson. I appreciate that. Our next person would have been the timer, but now it is going to be our word master, Mimi. And these are the ones that I have written down. Michael Aragon, did you have a role today? No, okay. I'm just making sure I don't goof up. Mimi, please go ahead with how we used sanguine today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator. Today's word of the day really did make me feel sanguine, because it was used quite often. I mean, Art just knocked it out the park, obviously, but it was used very well around the room, around the virtual room. I like to see this happen more often in more meetings where we take a word, whether it's familiar or unfamiliar, and make it work in our speeches and in our talks and table talks. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mimi. So those are our functionaries for today. Now I will give my evaluation of our meeting. The meeting started on time. And in the opening, our officer was timely and introduced our Toastmaster properly. Our Toastmaster introduced the people with roles, and I did not hear a meeting theme, although you could certainly cook one up by the end of the meeting and have it fit. I think our meeting was out of this world. The introductions were very well done. We had an introduction to our speaker and the people with the roles. We had a guest, I think, at the beginning, and thank you all very much for welcoming and chatting with our guest. That's one of the pieces that Toastmasters International brings up for the club, is to greet everyone and sort of schmooze a little bit before the meeting. And we still are showing that we can do it online, that we haven't let the virtual meeting get in the way of our virtual and real friendliness and welcoming attitude. So I appreciate that. Let's see what we have next. The functionaries and all of your evaluations, I thank you for those. They were very well done and thorough. Everyone here has good experience in the different roles, and I highly recommend that each of us take different roles and surprise ourselves with our abilities and our understanding. Other than that, I think that the meeting went very well, that our Toastmaster handled each part of the meeting very efficiently and well and welcoming. And I want to thank you all for a pleasant and enjoyable meeting and wish you a very happy and valuable week. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. I'm going to turn the meeting back over to our president, Sandra, to close this out and to tell us who our table topics winner is. Thank you.
My goodness, we do need a drum roll for this. It's so important. And this was a tough one because everybody did a marvelous, marvelous job with their impromptu speaking today. You all did fabulously. However, there is such a thing as having a winner in life and in table topics. No, keep going. Sorry. She's not here to enjoy it, but it is your friend. She believes the children are our future, Chanita Lynn. So somebody tell her she's a big winner today. We have every hope in the world of possibly wrapping up on time, which is one of the many things that we are all about as a Toastmasters organization. So I would like to get straight to the business of our Vice President of Education getting roles filled for next week.
All right, so before I go through my list, I want to ask if anyone who is currently present is expecting to be absent next week.